Hi, we're Russell and Amanda, and usually you'll find us exploring New Zealand in our Heimer camper. But this time, we've swapped hemispheres for a bucket list adventure through the UK in a hired campervan. This episode we start our journey into Scotland, crossing the Firth of Clyde on the way to the Isle of Bute. From ferry rides and coastal drives to stories of poets, castles, seaside towns and a jail, our journey to the Isle of Bute quickly became more than just an island stopover. Join us as we take our campervan across the water and discover what makes the Isle of Bute one of Scotland's most underrated island gems.
Welcome to Scotland. This is our first day and we're quite excited to get going and see what we can fit in over the next few weeks on our trip around Scotland.
So just had a breakfast here at Ballantrae beside the boatyard. We're at the car park further along the road. We paid £10 to stay the night. That £10 expired at 9 o'clock in the morning and we were late getting up, so we thought we'd just have breakfast along the road here, a few hundred metres at the wharf.
We've got a general plan of what we're going to be doing in Scotland. Basically we're going to be heading up through the Isle of Bute and then across to the Isle of Skye. Mainly because there's quite a lot of media about those spots and they're meant to be quite beautiful. And then of course we want to keep on going up past Inverness to John O'Groats, which is the top of Scotland, or the highest bit you can get to, as we've been to Land's End and it seemed appropriate to go from the bottom to the top. Anyway, we're off heading up the coast to the ferry to cross over to Bute, and we stopped off at Alloway just before Ayr because Amanda saw a sign.
So driving along, it said visit the National Museum for Robbie Burns. So in Dunedin in the Octagon, where we're from, there is a massive statue of Robbie Burns, so it was a no-brainer. We're also hoping that our New Zealand membership card for the National Trust is going to work here too.
Again, that's where the 6-metre van sort of fits into a car park. There's no camper van parks here, only bus parks. So it's worth considering when you come over here. If you go above 6 metres, you know you're going to have trouble parking. Anyway, we're off for a new experience and a surprise experience as well.
Robert Burns was born in Alloway in 1759 and he died in 1796 in Dumfries. Robert Burns met Jean Armour in 1784. They were married officially in 1788 and they had 9 children together. In 1801, in the cottage where he was born, the first Burns supper was held.
This picture inspired the Old Lang Syne, suggests that the main theme of the song, the importance of friendship. And this is the naughty stool, which has got some poetry on it. I'll get you to read it. Both Amanda and I tried to read this, and a bit tricky on that 3rd and 4th line.
The cutty stool was Kirk's version of the naughty step in the 18th century. Wrongdoers were made to sit on the stool during services to make them feel sorry for their sins and to be set an example to others. Have you been naughty recently? If so, sit on the stool and listen carefully to what the preacher has to say.
We're now having a walk along to Robbie Burns' birthplace, along the Robbie Burns walk.
And for all I know, this is probably the Robbie Burns Bridge.
Bit of cane sculpture there. It's coming up to a little thatched roofed house, which is obviously the Burns cottage. Good sort of 10-minute, 15-minute walk along here.
The Robert Burns cottage was built by his father, William Burns, in the 1750s. Robert Burns was born in this cosy 4-bedroom home and lived here until the age of 7.
Then within the next 20-25 years.
We're just passing through the city of Ayr. It was a harbour and a marketplace in the medieval period. We haven't booked the ferry to the Isle of Bute, but we've heard they run quite frequently, so we'll just see how we go. Nice wee Heimer going past.
Over there, that ferry leaving, it goes across to Rothesay, which is where we're heading. And we missed getting on it by 5 minutes, so We've got to now wait to the next one, which isn't so bad. Just going to check out some of these buildings and see what they're about at this terminal for the ferry. Amanda went over here somewhere to see what this building was. See if we can find her. Oh, it's a train station.
Wow, what a surprise when we came through this door. If you look up high, you can see a magnificent railway station with a stunning glass roof, and then you walk down the platform, it was all wooden. It was like stepping back in time.
Yes, the train station will be going into Glasgow, and it connects up with these ferries here that go over to the islands. People obviously bring their bike, put it on the train, come down here, go over on the ferry, and then hop on the bike to go home when they get to the other side. Something like that. There we go, we're on the ferry. Forgot to push the record button. Getting on there, but we're on. Go first.
There is a lift there if you want to avoid the stairs. But anyway, we'll just take our time and got ourselves settled on the ferry for our trip across to the Isle of Bute. It's £4.20 for a passenger one way on the ferry, about £41 one way with a camper, depending on the size of it, of course. We won't be coming back on this ferry. There's a second ferry that leaves from higher up in the Island of Bute, which is going the direction that we are, which is towards the Isle of Skye.
Getting to the Isle of Bute is all part of the adventure. The ferry ride across the Firth of Clyde only takes about 35 minutes, but the views of the Scottish coastline are absolutely stunning. As you arrive, you sail straight into Rothesay, the island's main town. It's a classic Victorian seaside resort with a charming promenade, gardens, and even a castle right in the centre.
After 80 yards, cross the roundabout, second exit, A844, Argyle Street.
Quite established up through here, isn't it?
We're heading over to Ettrick Bay, which is only a short distance from the town of Rothesay. It is known to be one of the most beautiful spots on the Isle of Bute, with a mile of golden sand and wide open views across to Arran. For campervans, it's said to be a great place to stop. There's plenty of space for parking right beside the beach.
Welcome to Ettrick Bay in the Isle of Bute and to the rain. Of course that had to happen after all that sunny weather, so we've just landed on the island on the ferry last night and sat back this morning and decided we'll spend the day here, get some videoing out for you guys and have a bit of a break before we carry on our adventures.
After sitting in the camper for the morning, we decided we'd get on and drive round to Rothesay and see what the town had to offer. Can't let the rain stop you, right? We don't know how long this is going to last and we've got to make the most of it. Anyway, we went for a coffee and while we were there, the weather cleared up a bit so we could get out and have a walk around.
We're just taking a walk down through Rothesay and having a look at the local streets.
It's such a quaint wee town. Wandered down by the foreshore and found the information centre, which is housed in this beautiful building.
It's a bit of a map here. Here's Glasgow. And if you come across here, there's the Isle of Bute that we've been to and staying. We're at the moment in Rothesay here. And going to go over at this point to Contrave, is that Contrave? And follow up to about here somewhere.
There's an interesting statue up here which we'll go and have a look at, and also a good photograph Instagram spot. Maybe I'll use it for the thumbnail for this video.
This is Alexander Valentine Stewart, who was the convener to the County of Bute. He was born in 1836 and died in 1880. This was erected affectionately in remembrance for his services and benefactions to the County of Bute. Right in the heart of Rothesay stands Rothesay Castle, one of Scotland's most unusual fortresses. Built in the 13th century, it's almost perfectly circular, surrounded by a wide moat. We're entering Rothesay Castle, and the man at the gate was very generous today and let me in for free and Russell in for £8, so he said we're contributing to the upkeep. And we're just going to go and find a wee video that looks an amazing stairwell down to the prison, which I'm not taking, but come with us and see the other stuff. The charter of the Royal Borough of Rothesay was granted by King Robert III of Scotland on the 12th of January 1400. There were 3 witnesses to the signing of this document: the King's brother, the Duke of Albany, the King's heir David, Duke of Rothesay, and Archibald the Groom.
Amanda's going to wait here while I go down to the pit prison. Away we go. The guy said to be very careful because the stairs are a bit slippery.
Bye, Amanda.
Come back from pit prison, it looks pretty scary.
Oh. Yeah, down with the spiders.
Living in the damp, dark, rat-infested conditions with little to eat. No fire or poor ventilation, many prisoners languished in this grim pit prison. It's time to get out before Amanda closes the hatch up on the top and doesn't let me get out. There we go. I'm coming out.
Over the centuries, it's seen Viking raids, royal battles and sieges, yet much of it still remains. We got to explore its towers and hall, which portray the island's turbulent history.
The rest of the castle was pretty much a bit of a shell and showing some hardship over the years. They had a nice big green area where they could hold events out in the middle, and the rest of it had really just been taken over by the seagulls.
A couple of roosting gulls there.
The 3 flags flying in the castle grounds are the yellow and blue banner representing Rothesay. Beside it is the Scottish nation's flag, and next to that, the red and blue flag of Norway, a reminder of Bute's Viking past, when Norse kings once ruled these islands. That's adventures for today over. Tomorrow we move on again. This morning we're up and heading up the east coast of the Isle of Bute to the top to catch the ferry across the next part of our adventure.
Hello. We've just pre-bought our ticket online, and I'll get the reference number up for you 2 seconds.
Yeah, nice.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's our ferry leaving from the other side to come across and get us.
13:40, another 10 minutes. I think this might be the shortest boat ride we've ever been on. It looks like 30 seconds to the other side. It's probably more like a minute, but it cost £11.30 for the campervan and the 2 of us one way.
The island's quite small, but Rothesay itself seems to be the main sort of centre of it. They have all roads leading in, and there's quite a bit of shopping there, the castle, and we went up to see the Highland cows, but unfortunately couldn't stop on the side of the road easily. The roads were actually quite busy, quite a few cars buzzing around, but they're all tar sealed and quite good. Anyway, we're going to see how far up we get today, and where we stop will be decided by what it looks like as we're driving up, I guess.
The next island on our journey will be the Isle of Skye, which I'm looking forward to, but there's plenty to visit before we get there.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too. It's quite a steep bit. Wouldn't pay to have a long camper on that one. You would be hitting the back end, I'd say. It was a wee bit steep coming off. The van behind us is pretty slow. It's a nice old house here.
Yeah, look, it looks nice on this side.
Beautiful.
Nice one as you came up on the corner too, sort of.
boats out there on the side.
We really enjoyed that option of going over to the Isle of Bute, staying off the main roads. Another option to going over to the Isle of Arran, I suppose.
I've just pulled into a farm shop on the side of the road, and they're very kind and let people stay for free as long as they go and get something from the shop. So just building up a bit of business there off people coming along down the road traffic. So we'll stay here for the night anyway before we carry on. We've driven about 50 kilometres, I suppose, 50-60k since getting off the ferry.
We quite like this little stop, nestled in the valley. Just looking out on the mountains is quite beautiful. And it's about 5 parks here that people can stay in without filling up the car park where the visitors come. We call it the Tree Shop, and they've got a few other shops here of interest, so we'll do a bit of a stroll and see what we can see.
Where are we?
This farm shop here.
Tree shop, there we go. We are here.
Roosters. You want to look over here first?
There's a walker's car park. There's an old bridge here. Cycle track up the top there. I can go sailing. It's busy. They've just made like a wee restaurant there that you can buy fish delicacies, scallops, things like that, and buy a small nibble, glass of wine and a beer, or just have a look in the Tree Shop Garden Centre and Cafe. We're going in the right way?
Tree shop. Yeah, the entrance.
Okay.
Should we go down?
Yeah, why not?
Spot there. Here we are leaving a farm stop. We haven't stayed in many farm stops, but it was a car park out the back, and as long as you went and bought something in at the shop, we actually ended up buying Midgie spray, which we thought was quite cool, we needed, so that was quite a good way of doing it, we thought. We're now following the loch up and around, and there's mountains on one side of the loch and rather lushy, green, bushy roads that we're driving through. Is this Inveraray up here?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have a look. We're just pulling into Inveraray, which has a castle that's not open today and tomorrow, so we're going to miss out on that. But it looks a nice big coastal place out on a point with a big sort of church spire or tower.
One really cool bridge. It was one way, so we had to wait for the lights to go before we crossed. But you could look to the right and see the castle from the bridge.
Pretty amazing, eh? Go into the town, looks quite nice.
After 300 yards, turn right, A819.
Through here. Motorhomes, there you go. Stop as a park. Anyway, we can't stay overnight, but we can go and have a coffee.
There we are. I don't usually get a motorhome park that easy, but in Inveraray, as soon as you come in the main road, there's a sign, motorhome parking, which is actually, I believe, the castle car park for when you go and visit it. Not sure. We'll have a wee hunt and see if we can see the castle from a distance. Just gone past the closed gate to the castle here. We've got it all blocked off at the moment. Quite a few other people walking in here, so you must be able to walk up and have a look at the castle. Well, I have managed to walk up the 600 metre driveway to get a couple of shots of the castle, and probably worth the walk. But unfortunately, as Amanda said, closed all today and tomorrow, so we have to hang around for 3 days in this area, and it's really time to move on.
At this stage of the journey, we have about another 4 weeks left before we have to take the camper van back. So we need to keep a move on if we're going to see around Scotland and back down into England again. Anyway, let's go and see Inveraray. Had a bit of a stroll up through town and noticed that there was an old jail there that you can go and visit.
So these are the two exercise areas for the prisoners that they used to get out into during the day. Not much. That's the cart, is it? Taking them around.
Yeah.
These jails are always pretty solid places. Amazes me to think how people were kept in captivity back at that time. But that was the era, and that's what happened. That's our history.
Woman only. In 1849, all the men in these overcrowded cells were moved to the new prison. For 40 years this was a women's prison. Under new regulations, women like men were now confined to a cell and provided with work. They made hearing nets, knitted stockings, sewed and packed oakum.
Here we are, going up to cells 5 to 9. The water closet. Okay. Do the washing up there. Clothes scrubbed. And there's the old copper.
In 1820, just after the prison was built and while it was still very insecure, 3 prisoners made their escape. In 1841, 2 convicts walked out in the middle of the night. The lock on the door cell was faulty and it failed to shut. While the warden in the adjoining cell was asleep, they left the prison and escaped through an opening door. Mary Milligan, a hawker, convicted of theft, made her escape at 6 Waterbury, walking out of the prison kitchen where she had been working.
Before we left, we visited the old courthouse setup, which is pretty cool.
Nothing but his drawers.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes.
What is your verdict in regard to the panel was?
That wraps up this episode, but we'll be back in 2 weeks as we head up to the Isle of Skye. Thank you so much for watching, and feel free to give us a like and subscribe to support our channel. We are on an amazing bucket list adventure through the UK and Ireland, so if you've missed our previous travels, check out our Kiwis Lost in UK series. It's a collection of adventures from March to the end of August in 2025. Now we're back in New Zealand with more time to edit up these videos for you to watch, but we'll be hitting the road again around New Zealand, so stay tuned for more exciting adventures.